Alright, big news. The global financial giant Blackrock has sold two office buildings in Shanghai. The reason? They didn't want to repay their bank loans. Blackrock, known for its top-tier traders and elite teams, couldn't make a profit in China's A-share market and decided to step away. Not only is BlackRock pulling out of the financial industry in China, but it's also exiting the real estate market entirely. An interesting detail here is that BlackRock handed over the buildings to Standard Chartered Bank at a price of 28,000 yuan per square meter as repayment. They seem to think that was a better option than repaying the loan.
Recently, Chinese social media has been buzzing with discussions about BlackRock abandoning these properties and potentially exiting China altogether. According to a Bloomberg report on February 13th, BlackRock, headquartered in New York, decided not to repay a syndicated loan led by Standard Chartered Bank. Instead, the company used the two office buildings in Shanghai to settle the debt. The fund originally bought these properties in 2018 for 1.2 billion yuan, with a loan of about 780 million yuan that was due in September 2023. On February 15th, BlackRock Fund Management Company Limited announced a leadership change. Deputy General Manager Hong Xia resigned on February 14, 2025 for personal reasons, with no information about a new role within the company. This news has sparked speculation about BlackRock's potential exit from China. While there's no official confirmation that the company is leaving entirely, foreign asset management firms have faced increasing regulatory challenges in the country. BlackRock has already shown signs of withdrawal, having closed its BGF China Flexible Equity Fund in November 2023. Meanwhile, Vanguard, the world's largest mutual fund company, also exited China in November 2023. According to recent official Chinese data, foreign direct investment, FDI, in the country has plummeted by 99% over the past 3 years, reaching its lowest point in 33 years. FDI refers to foreign companies investing in a country to generate profits. On February 14th, China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange reported that net FDI into China in 2024 amounted to just 4.5 billion US dollars, down roughly 99% from 2022. Several major multinational companies have also scaled back or left the Chinese market recently. For example, IBM and Microsoft have cut their R&D teams in China. Bridgestone has announced it will stop producing and selling trucks and bus tires in China. Japan's Sumitomo Chemical has withdrawn from large-scale LCD panel polarizer production. Japan's Nippon Steel has ended its 50-year partnership with China's Baosteel Group. South Korea's POSCO is considering selling its stainless steel plant in Jiangsu province. Since China opened up to foreign business in the late 1970s, Japanese companies were among the first to invest and have historically been some of the largest foreign investors in the country. Now, many of these companies are pulling out. A recent survey by the Chinese-Japanese Chamber of Commerce found that nearly half of Japanese companies in China plan to reduce investments or avoid adding new funds in 2025. Foreign businesses are leaving China for several reasons. One major reason is the slowdown of China's economy, which makes it harder to do business. Foreign companies have long criticized China's business environment, especially with the growing concern about the Chinese government's strict anti-espionage efforts. The Chinese government has tried to downplay these concerns. A report from the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade claimed that, in 2024, companies rated China's business environment at 4.37 out of 5. The report also said that nearly 90% of the surveyed companies felt very satisfied or fairly satisfied, and more than 90% were optimistic about China's future. However, a recent survey by the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai showed a different picture. Over half of the respondents were pessimistic about their business prospects in China over the next 5 years. The European Chamber of Commerce also criticized China's increasingly politicized business environment, saying companies have submitted thousands of suggestions with little response. Geopolitical factors also play a role in the withdrawal of foreign investments. When President Donald Trump took office, he quickly imposed a 10% tariff on Chinese goods and a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. These measures, along with ongoing trade tensions between the US and China, have pushed more companies to move their operations out of the country. For instance, the Chinese e-commerce platforms Shein and Temu have reportedly been accelerating their efforts to shift production away from China. In the past 2 years, Shein has built logistics and distribution centers in the US and other countries. Temu, meanwhile, has asked its suppliers to find local warehouses in the US to navigate the uncertainty surrounding tariffs. Official Chinese government data from January 2024 revealed that FDI in China amounted to 826 billion yuan, a sharp 27% drop compared to the previous year. This was the biggest decline ever recorded. FDI refers to the actual money foreign investors have put into their Chinese ventures, not just the amounts promised in contracts. In response, the Chinese state media outlet People's Daily published an article on February 10th denying any large-scale foreign exit. The article claimed that foreign investment patterns are simply changing, and that companies that can quickly adapt to China's market dynamics will still succeed. At the same time, official figures showed that 59,080 new foreign invested companies were established in China in 2024, a 9.9% increase from the previous year. State media argued that China has lowered barriers for foreign investors, attracting more small and medium-sized enterprises. They also suggested that the global trend towards service-based, asset-light investments explain why there's a gap between the drop in FDI and the rise in new businesses. Despite these explanations, a Chinese blogger was shocked by the numbers, pointing out that direct foreign investment had not only fallen by nearly 30%, but that the overall quality of the investments had also dropped significantly.
In 2024, China established 59,080 new foreign invested enterprises, an increase of 9.9% compared to the previous year. However, the actual foreign investment amounted to only 826.25 billion yuan, a significant drop of 27.1%. This means more companies were set up, but the actual amount of money invested was much smaller. To explain this, a blogger gave an example. If last year each enterprise invested an average of 1 billion yuan, this year the average has dropped to 600 million yuan. The decrease shows investors are cautious. Many are just testing the waters by investing a small amount to secure a position while waiting to see how the situation develops. It feels like these investors aren't very confident and are adopting a wait-and-see attitude.
Official data shows that the manufacturing sector received 221 billion yuan in foreign investment, while the services sector received 584 billion yuan. High-tech manufacturing attracted 96 billion yuan, which accounts for just 11.7% of total foreign investment. This indicates a lack of confidence in China's investment environment. The blogger pointed out that foreign investors, especially from the US and Europe, are no longer as committed as they were in the past. While more companies are entering the market, these tend to be smaller, lower-quality firms, as larger, top-tier enterprises remain hesitant. The blogger predicted that China's foreign trade would face significant challenges this year. American economist David J. Huang analyzed the situation and suggested that the rise in new foreign enterprises might be misleading. He believes some of these companies are shell companies or fake foreign businesses. For instance, some firms from Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, or even domestic Chinese companies may register as foreign enterprises to benefit from preferential policies. Huang pointed to the worsening external environment, uncertain domestic policies, intellectual property concerns, tax policy changes, and geopolitical risks as key reasons for the decline in actual foreign investment. He also suggested that official Chinese statistics might be adjusted or polished to serve political purposes and present the country's system in a more favorable light. In response to the foreign business exodus, the Chinese government took the unusual step of allowing foreign investors to set up wholly foreign-owned hospitals in 9 cities, including Beijing and Tianjin. By the end of last year, Tianjin welcomed its first top-tier foreign-owned general hospital.
朋友们恕我直言，所谓的外商独资医院
Friends, forgive me for being blunt, but these so-called wholly foreign-owned hospitals are essentially just a bunch of people from Fujian who set up numerous offshore companies in tax havens like the British Virgin Islands and the Cayman Islands. Then they came back to mainland China and registered a bunch of these hospitals. To put it plainly, it's just a Putian network with a new disguise, making a comeback. The final and most crucial step is when these foreign-owned enterprises get included as designated hospitals under the national health insurance system. From that point on, the National Healthcare Fund gets internationalized. The Putian Medical Network is a private healthcare system run by people from Putian City in Fujian Province. In recent years, it has been embroiled in scandals involving false advertisement and fraud. Alongside foreign capital leaving China, official data shows that domestic companies are also moving their funds overseas. In 2023, China's outbound investment reached $173 billion US. To avoid tariffs, Chinese companies have shifted production to Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand. Africa has also become a key destination for Chinese overseas investments. A report from the ASEAN Secretariat and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development shows that after the COVID-19 pandemic, China's investments in ASEAN countries surged from less than $4 billion US in 2010 to a record high of $17 billion US in 2023. According to New York-based consulting firm Rhodium Group, only 28% of China's overseas investments went to developed economies in 2023. This marks a sharp decline from 80% in 2016 and 50% in 2021. Now, more Chinese companies are building car factories in Malaysia, power supply infrastructure in Vietnam, and chemical plants in Kazakhstan, often targeting regions involved in the Chinese Communist Party's Belt and Road Initiative. Huang explained that many Chinese goods labeled as exports are actually produced in countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and Brazil before being shipped to the United States. However, with the U.S. imposing reciprocal tariffs and conducting stricter checks, this kind of indirect export is becoming more difficult. In 2024, China recorded an unprecedented $768 billion US in its trade surplus. The large gap between imports and exports has become an international concern. It's not just the US and other Western countries expressing dissatisfaction. Neighboring countries like India are also worried about the trade imbalance. During his first term, President Donald Trump's tariff policies prompted many Western companies to move their factories out of China. With Trump's second term, analysts predict a new wave of factory relocations. On February 3rd, Trump announced a plan for reciprocal tariffs at the White House. Economist Davey Huang said that China supplies more than 20% of the world's goods, with the U.S. being a major market. If the U.S. implements reciprocal tariffs, China may struggle to maintain its foreign exchange reserves and trade surplus in the short term. This could accelerate the departure of foreign capital, the relocation of orders, and the shift of supply chains. Once these industries move out, they're unlikely to return in the near future, which would deal a severe blow to the Chinese economy. While China may still maintain strong exports to Asia, Africa, and Latin America, the scale and quality of those exports can't compare to shipments to the US or the EU. Huang also noted that foreign companies in China often represent higher value industries. For instance, if companies like Apple move production elsewhere, China's exports of high-value goods could decline significantly. A blogger from Suzhou, Jiangsu Province, also shared concerns about the impact of foreign companies leaving China.
苏州现在的失业情况啊，你可能真的很难想象。
In Suzhou, the current unemployment situation is hard to imagine. It might even sound unbelievable. Suzhou was once known as China's strongest prefecture-level city, with a thriving economy and plenty of job opportunities everywhere. But now, as many foreign companies have left Suzhou and moved to Southeast Asia, the situation has completely changed. With foreign companies gone, many businesses have started laying off workers, especially those in electronics manufacturing. These factories once supported tens of thousands of workers in Suzhou. Now, the wave of layoffs has hit local business districts hard. Many malls are deserted, and some have even shut down entirely. Amid the foreign investment exodus, a blogger explained regret and explained why foreign companies are often more popular among workers.
我敢说，这个世界呢，没有比中国企业家更操蛋的企业家。
I dare say there's no worse group of business people than Chinese entrepreneurs. Many don't treat their workers like people. They treat them like workhorses. Take Jabil in Shanghai, for example. It's a US-owned company, and regardless of how high their wages are, they manage their workforce with more humanity. Have you ever seen many wheelchair users or hearing-impaired people working in domestic factories? They're not welcome. But foreign companies like Jabil or Foxconn have dedicated roles for these individuals. You can't deny it. They truly value human dignity. Meanwhile, Chinese business owners only care about profits above all else.
Another vlogger questioned how housing prices could hold up with foreign capital leaving the country. They pointed to official data showing a steady outflow of domestic funds to foreign markets, even as state media like the Global Times claim that over 60% of foreign investors still view China positively. The vlogger said, "It's easy to say anything with words, but investments don't lie. The departure of foreign companies is hitting employment, tax revenues, and the overall economy. Most people might not feel the impact yet, but if you work in foreign trade, you've already seen how much the business environment has worsened over the past 2 years. With foreign investors pulling out, the economy will only get worse. And in this kind of environment, how could housing prices possibly stay strong?" One vlogger raised concerns that if foreign companies leave China, domestic goods will become even more expensive.
当外企撤离中国，苹果滚出中国，特斯拉滚出中国。
If Apple, Tesla, and Japanese automakers all leave China, I'm telling you, domestic products will get at least twice as expensive, even bottled water. Believe it or not, without foreign competition, prices will skyrocket. While official Chinese sources have denied the foreign investment exodus, social media is flooded with videos claiming that the Chinese economy is strong and foreign investors remain optimistic about the market. Analysts suggest this is part of a government-driven campaign to promote what it calls a bright economic outlook. With strict controls in place, independent voices struggle to be heard.